He brought a sword, a bow, and a bagpipe to World War II. He used all three in combat, and he won. In 1940, a British officer walked into battle against a German machine gun position armed with a medieval sword, a longbow, and a set of bagpipes. This actually happened. His name was Jack Churchill. The Germans thought he was insane. His own army wasn't sure either. Stay until the end, because what he did next makes the sword look completely reasonable. The man who found modern war boring. John Malcolm Thorpe Fleming Churchill was born in 1906 into a world that still believed war was glorious. He grew up reading stories of cavalry charges and individual heroism, of officers leading men into battle with nothing but courage and a good sword arm. By the time he was old enough to serve, that world had already been destroyed by the mechanized slaughter of the First World War. But nobody told Jack Churchill. He was, by any objective measure, extraordinarily good at almost everything he attempted. He studied at the Royal Military College and became a commissioned officer. He learned to play the bagpipes properly, not casually, to a level of genuine proficiency. He took up archery and became good enough to represent Great Britain in the 1939 World Archery Championships. He learned to ride motorcycles, to surf, and to play the stock market. He appeared as an extra in a medieval film and insisted on bringing his own longbow because the props looked inauthentic. In the 1930s, between his military service, he worked as a male model and a newspaper editor in East Africa. He was, in every sense, a man who found ordinary life slightly insufficient. When Germany invaded Poland in 1939 and Britain declared war, Jack Churchill did what came naturally to him. He went to find the action, and he brought his sword. Not a ceremonial sword, not a decorative piece for parades. A Scottish claymore, a genuine, functional, two-handed medieval broadsword, which he had sharpened and wore on his belt into every engagement. When asked why, he gave an answer that tells you everything you need to know about the man. Any officer who goes into action without his sword is improperly dressed. The last arrow in history. The first time history took notice of Jack Churchill was in May 1940, during the Allied retreat through France. His unit was moving through the village of Leponette when they encountered a German patrol. What happened next was witnessed by multiple soldiers and documented in military records. Jack Churchill notched an arrow to his longbow, drew it back, and shot a German sergeant. The man fell. His patrol scattered. It was, as far as military historians can determine, the last recorded kill by longbow in the history of warfare. The weapon that had won the Battle of Agincourt in 1415 had just claimed its final victim, in the middle of a war fought with tanks, aircraft, and artillery. Jack Churchill had done this deliberately, with calm precision, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. He then led his men forward with his sword drawn. Back in England, the story spread quickly through military circles. Some officers were appalled. Most were quietly, deeply impressed. Churchill was promoted and given more responsibility. The British Army, to its considerable credit, understood instinctively that men like Jack Churchill were too valuable to regulate. Norway, Commandos, and the Bagpipes of Death. Jack Churchill joined the Commandos, the elite British Special Forces unit, and found, at last, a group of men whose appetite for danger came close to matching his own. He thrived. He led raids on the Norwegian coast, operations in the Mediterranean, and amphibious assaults that required exactly the combination of physical courage, tactical creativity, and complete personal indifference to death that Churchill had been practicing his entire life. He developed a ritual for leading men into battle. As his unit approached enemy positions in landing craft, with bullets already hitting the water around them, Jack Churchill would stand at the front of the boat and play his bagpipes. Loud, clear, completely exposed to enemy fire. playing Scottish war tunes as if he were performing at a Highland festival rather than leading men into combat. He did this for a specific reason. He had noticed that his men's fear increased during the approach to the beach. The waiting, the sound of gunfire, the knowledge of what was coming. The bagpipes gave them something to focus on, something human and defiant and slightly absurd in the middle of all that terror. Men who might have frozen with fear found themselves instead thinking, if that madman is standing up there playing bagpipes, maybe we can do this. His most celebrated moment came during the raid on the island of Wijs in 1944. Churchill led a nighttime assault on a German garrison with a small force of commandos. He personally captured 42 German prisoners, using nothing but his claymore sword and an extraordinary degree of personal confidence. He marched them back to his lines at sword point, alone in the dark. When asked how he had managed to capture 42 armed men with a medieval sword, he said he had simply walked up to them in the darkness and told them with absolute conviction that they were surrounded. They believed him. They weren't. The mortar, the music, and the end of the war he loved. In 1944, during the Allied campaign in Yugoslavia, Jack Churchill's luck finally ran out, partially. His unit was ambushed by a vastly superior German force. Most of his men were killed or captured. Churchill himself was found unconscious in a ditch, wounded, with his bagpipes still in his hands. He had apparently been playing them when the mortar hit nearby. The Germans took him prisoner. They transported him to a concentration camp in Germany, then to another in Austria, then, as the Allied advance accelerated, to the Tyrol. Churchill, being Churchill, escaped twice. The first time he was recaptured. The second time he walked over 100 miles through enemy territory to reach Allied lines. He arrived back at British headquarters, requested a new assignment, and was sent to the Pacific to join the war against Japan. He was genuinely excited. He arrived just in time to discover that the Americans had dropped atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and the war was over. Jack Churchill's reaction to the end of World War II was not relief, or joy, or exhaustion. It was disappointment, genuine, profound disappointment. He said, with complete sincerity,
"If it wasn't for those damn Yanks, we could have kept the war going another 10 years.
Life after war. Jack Churchill came home to a world at peace and promptly set about filling the void with everything else he could find. He learned to surf properly, competitively, and is credited with introducing surfing to mainland Europe, riding waves off the coast of Cornwall and Austria in the 1950s, when almost nobody in Europe had ever seen a surfboard. He took up painting. He continued playing bagpipes. He commuted to work in London by tube for years, carrying his bagpipes with him, occasionally playing them on the platform while waiting for his train. Fellow commuters, by all accounts, adapted to this eventually. He had a habit, on his commute home, of throwing his briefcase out of the train window as it passed through a particular field near his house. He had calculated that the briefcase would land near his garden gate, saving him the trouble of carrying it from the station. It worked, apparently, most of the time. He taught land-air warfare at the Royal Military College of Science. He competed in canoe races. He lived, by every account, with the same relentless, slightly unhinged enthusiasm that had carried him through the most dangerous conflict in human history, applied now to the altogether less lethal challenges of peacetime Britain. Jack Churchill died in 1996 at the age of 89. He had outlived almost every enemy he had ever faced, which seems exactly right. He was awarded the Military Cross, the Distinguished Service Order with Bar, and numerous other decorations for his service, citations that described, in careful military language, acts of valor that no citation could fully capture. There is a question that lingers after you learn about Mad Jack Churchill, and it is not the obvious one. The obvious question is, was he insane? The answer is clearly no. He was too competent to deliberate, too consistently effective to be dismissed as simply mad. The sword worked. The bow worked. The bagpipes worked. The captured prisoners walked back at sword point because he told them to. The real paradox is more interesting. The most celebrated warrior of a war fought with tanks, bombers, and atomic bombs was a man who charged enemy positions with a medieval sword and played bagpipes while bullets flew past his head. Maybe it means that war, for all its technology, is still ultimately about one human being convincing another human being that resistance is futile. And Jack Churchill was simply better at that particular conversation than anyone else on either side. Or maybe the answer is simpler than that. Maybe some people are just built for the storm, and Jack Churchill was one of them. He found the most dangerous storm the 20th century had to offer, walked into it with a sword and a bagpipe, and came out the other side disappointed that it was over. The rest of us should probably be grateful we are not wired that way, and also, quietly, a little in awe of those who are. If this story stayed with you, and I think it will, there are many more waiting. Stories that history forgot or chose to ignore. Subscribe, and I'll bring you one every week. And if you know someone who would have stayed until the end of this video, send it to them. That's how these stories survive.